The housing market is best described as being collateral damage to this recession. We're not right in the centre, but certainly the housing market's going to feel a very heavy impact. Turnover's down about 45% in the space of 2 months, and sentiment has swung from what was a relatively optimistic start to the year to pretty deep negativity. The sentiment measures are telling us a certain amount, but I think it's about understanding how this shock compares to the big shocks that we've experienced in the past.
The accounts do show that Australia's in a recession.
So this month we go through comparing what is clearly going to be a recession in Australia with previous recessions in the early 80s and early 90s and the GFC. And for housing in particular, how the current situation differs, and it does differ. This is a very unusual recession for Australia. While we've got those positives around not a monetary tightening situation, we don't have high interest rates or a credit crunch or any credit supply issues, and we haven't had an overheating market coming into this in the last year or two, we are coming into this cycle with much higher debt levels than we saw, particularly in the early 90s and early 80s recessions. And that may change the dynamics of the recession in terms of housing, and also introduce a risk factor. If we were to mishandle this recession in some way, perhaps as we sort of roll out of some of the policy supports, for example, then that could trigger deleveraging, which would be very problematic at this stage. We'll get a much better sense of where the housing market is in the next few months as some of those social restrictions get relaxed. We've already seen auctions are sort of returning to a bit more normal in Sydney. They were still about 30 to 50% below a normal level of auction activity, and in Melbourne the next week or so they'll ease restrictions around that. The housing market's in a very uncertain place at the moment. We've lost all our usual indicators. We're in a recession that we've never experienced before. We're following a recovery profile that we don't really know exactly how this is going to play out. It may be something that takes longer to recover rather than a quick snapback. It's going to be a very interesting year, I suspect.